So it has come to this, as always, it seems like. How are we all doing today, boys and girls? Yeah. Yeah, that's basically the problem, isn't it? Oh, I just realized something. Okay. Just hold on a moment. Okay. Okay, this is. Excuse me. Huh. Okay. Can you still? No. What? Oh, this bloody. Ah, I see. So I need to keep that on top, do I? No, this should be good. Are we good? Can you all see everything that I'm writing? Let me just test something here. So it goes to Twitch, alright. It goes to YouTube, alright. Okay. We're good. Everything's good. It's all good. Life's good. So today, by popular request, we are going to talk about vaccines. And also, actually, before we talk about vaccines, can I just real quick talk about our discussion yesterday? If you guys will remember, yesterday I talked about the fact that that even though the news is relatively good for normal people, in that, and people who get Omicron will not die because of Omicron, that doesn't mean that we should let our guard down, or that we should simply celebrate it as a fait accompli, right? Because I spent a lot of time talking about the nature of infectivity, and how even though it does so little damage, or it does much less damage compared to Delta, the fact that it infects much harder means that there are actually going to be more people that will be sick with it in terms of absolute value. And when we're talking about public policy, absolute value is what matters, right? And so strictly speaking, we are completely not yet out of the woods, right? Like we are definitely, like the fact is that all public health units in the world are desperately monitoring numbers because they see what I see, but it's not reflected in the stock market, and that in itself is disappointing. But partially, I it's funny that one of our boys just made that comment. Yes, that's exactly why I cautioned against it, right? And I know none of this. Oh, please. I know none of this is investment advice, and I keep going on about how it's not investment advice, and it's not. It absolutely isn't. That doesn't mean that we that it wasn't a word of warning to all of you, right? Anyway, we're good. Vaccine. So let's talk about vaccine. Oh, I drew this person much prettier yesterday. I blame it on the I blame it on the fact that yesterday I was on my laptop, and today I'm drawing this person on my iPad. Anyway, so person, right? Person. He's got a very pronounced chin, rather big nose. The reason he has a big nose is very obvious. It's so that the COVID-19 can get in there, right? Let's call that big O for Omicron. Yeah, we're good. I'll just use this for now. So how does a vaccine work? Let's first talk about how the infection happens, right? How does the where's my recents? There we go. How does the infection happen? Well, if this is a person, and this is trachea, lungs, you'll remember yesterday we talked about the fact that let me use this, that original COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2, and let's use this color for SARS-CoV-2 Delta. That the original SARS-CoV-2 and the Delta variant, they all stick in the lungs, whereas Omicron does more of its breeding up here, right? So not strictly relevant, but still important for what we're going to talk about afterwards. In general, how does the body deal with it? Well, let's say this is tissue. Let's say this is lung, right? Lung tissue. We will use SARS-CoV. So this is our lovely little original COVID-19 virus. It gets in here. If there is no defense mechanism, right? It gets in here, and then it spreads and it spreads and it spreads and it spreads. Let's label that with what color? Let's label this the most beautiful lung no vaccine. Novak, let's call it. Djokovic, no, just no vaccine, right? Like no vaccine. So what does a vaccine do? Once we have a vaccine, I should have really thought this through before I started it. I didn't. Oops. Sue me. Lung, right? Still the same lung, but as our, what color is that? It's this color. As our COVID-19 particle virus comes in here and it tries to expand, what color should I use for vaccine? Let's use a happy green, shall we? Let's use a happy green. Let's call it a V, not the vaccine. No, I shouldn't call it V because that'll confuse a lot of stupid people. Well, I am actually talking about you. Yes, let's call it immune system. Will come in and try to cut that off, not at the source, right? Like it's very hard for our immune system to react immediately to anything that enters the body, but rather it comes in and it tries to cut it off in its sort of secondary like once it gets in, and then it starts spreading from there. It cuts off that spread because of a variety of things. We can talk about how vaccines work, and that's going to be the majority of the talk. But before that, we have to talk about the immune system and how it actually starts cutting it off. So let's say we have a bunch of COVID-19 viruses, and we have a bunch of what are we doing? Value HSV. Where's my HSV? There we go. Do that. And a bunch of cells. These are infected cells, right? So let's call that infected cells. What we will then have is we will have these immune system cells, and they come in a variety of egg-like. No, they come in a variety of shapes, but the most important ones, you don't need to know their names, but really T cells, B cells, NK cells, macrophages, microglia. Well, microglia is different. Don't worry about that too much. But essentially, all of these things, they come in and they literally, actually, let me put a little virus there, and they literally wrap themselves around it, like that. Right? They wrap themselves around it, and then shut it off, and then engulf it and pump a lot of acid into it, and that destroys everything that's inside, right? So let's see, immune system destroys what it recognizes. And so this is in a post-vaccine world, right? So if you've been vaccinated, this is what would happen, because your body is now responding to that particular, what do we say? Oh wait, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Oh no, I need the other one as well. This one. Yes. One sec. Oh, okay. Light green. Okay. Thank you very much for letting me know about the light green. We'll do that. It's really easy to see on my iPad. Maybe you guys just don't have it now. We'll use a dark green. Okay. There we go. I hope this dark green is more to your liking. There we go. Okay, so immune system. Dark green. We're all good? Do I really have to rewrite it? Okay. Immune... You can't read my writing anyway. System destroys what it recognizes. And that's what vaccines do, right? They help these cells recognize those things, recognize those compromised cells. And it does it essentially by priming your body with stuff that looks like that. Remember yesterday and the time before we talked about biology being very, very shape focused. Shape / charge based recognition. And that's what biology is really all about, right? So what can we do in this case? How does a vaccine work? I can't even spell it. Oh my god. Vaccine. It does it essentially by one, present the body with a key piece that looks like COVID-19, right? And it doesn't actually matter how it does it. It could be done via an inactivated virus, which is what the Novak vaccine does. It does it via, or it could be something really, really powerful. Essentially this year that we've seen in the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine, which is the mRNA-based stuff. I'm not going to go into detail about how those in particular work, because we've talked about it in the past. If you guys want to go back to the past and look at it, one of our administrators will give you the link. Actually, could I think both of our administrators are here. Yes. Could one of you find the link and just paste it in? A couple months ago, I did a quick talk about how the Pfizer vaccine, how mRNA vaccines work. Just paste that in, and they can watch it afterwards. Essentially, that talks about that. So today we're going to talk about how the body deals with the vaccine, right? So let's see. Can I actually think I can copy this. Copy. No, I want to move it. Can I move it? Just want to move. Can I move it, please? Hello? No. Your phone? No, that's not. No. I'm just we're just not gonna deal with it. I don't have much time tonight, so we will try to stick as closely to the half-hour limit as possible. So, how does a vaccine work in this case? Well, let me draw a quick another person. That doesn't look like a person. Okay, there we go. That looks like a Neanderthal. That's fine. We'll just pretend he's one of our viewers that I won't name. You know exactly who you are. Okay. So when let's use this color for the vaccine. When the vaccine goes into the human body, the immune system that we've talked about before will rise up. So, hello? Okay. Immune system activates when it sees foreign particles. Right? And so it attacks this, and it attacks these foreign particles, and then it tries desperately to match something of itself to the foreign particles. And what that then does is it generates these antibodies. We've all heard the word antibodies before. We've heard the word antigen before. We will talk about that. Actually, I should just literally point that out. This is the antigen, and these are the antibodies. Okay, cool, done. So when it sees the antigen, it rises up, and it does a weaker version. It does a weaker version of this. It does a weaker version of that. And oh, hi, Brett. Brett, it's really late for you. You should be going to bed. Anyway, so yeah, it does a weaker version of that, and this generates antibodies that respond faster. And this is, again, we've talked about it. Good job, Brett. We've talked about it before, about how, or earlier in this broadcast, about how it is a time-based thing, right? Like we've talked about it here, where the immune system reacts once something has been infected, because it cannot react, because it doesn't know. It doesn't know what's coming, right? The body doesn't actually know what's coming. Brett, we've talked about where you were before. I know that you're in Central Europe. Like, anyway, and so the body generates these antibodies, and so that means that the body after the first vaccine is now ready, or is more ready than before the first vaccine to respond. And interestingly enough, actually, let's talk about that 3.5. That's why second dose has a stronger response than the first dose. Yes, I can hear the police. Can you guys hear the police? Yes, we're good. Good job, guys. Yeah, no, this is very very much a thing, because after your first dose, you are, Brett, I don't think you actually know, because I don't think I've actually ever mentioned this, but my topic of research is the human body, especially the human brain, and what happens to the human brain when it's starting to die. So I have a lot of knowledge in this area about immune effects, because we a lot of the death of the human brain is caused by autoimmune diseases, or like misfunction in the immune system. And so tangentially, I know a lot about the immune system. I know a lot about the human body to begin with. Interestingly enough, actually, I don't think a lot of you know this. We have seen some symptoms that, or not symptoms, we have seen some effects about Parkinson's disease, which is, a neurodegenerative disease from that's usually associated with old age. We have seen a lot of that actually come about because of, how do we say, because of things that people have eaten. So like a lot of for some Parkinson's disease patients, we see that there might be a correlation to gut problems 20 years ahead of when their brain starts showing symptoms of death, of like local neuronal death. So yes. So in terms of things like indigestion, upset stomachs, if you have a lot of like these types of things, because we know there are dopaminergic innervations that go from the brain directly to the gut, and we don't know whether it's caused by toxins. We don't know what exactly is causing it, but we have a hunch. We have a very, very, very educated hunch that some toxins that are picked up, or some sort of genetic flaw, works its way backwards from the stomach through those dopaminergic projections all the way into the brain. And that is fascinating, isn't it? Like that is one of those very, very interesting and very, very, how should I say, it's something that is never really considered, but it's sort of, it impacts so many people, right? And if only we had more data, we would be able to know so much more. Anyway, yeah, are we almost out of time? No, we have some time still. What did I want to say? Generates antibodies, respond, blah blah, right? And so this is why the second dose has a stronger response than the first dose, and maybe I should. You're right, maybe I shouldn't have taken up so much room. But anyway, so let's just go back to the Novak scenario, and say, in this case, immune system takes too long to respond. And the exponential effects within lungs causes mortality. And keep in mind, we're talking about alpha, we're talking about delta, we're talking about the original COVID, SARS, CoV-2 virus. And also, Brett, that is I don't think that's necessarily strange, though, right? Because I mean, not everybody. In fact, I would argue very clearly that most people don't know anything about their bodies. That they don't know that in this society they shouldn't be eating as much starch and sugar, because it's literally what's killing them. They don't know about the need to get up to exercise. They don't know about the need to focus their attentions. They don't know about, let's say, the need to make sure they have consistent water. All of this wonderful stuff. I wish what I knew was common knowledge, because the world would be so much healthier. Anyway, so why does the vaccine what was I going to say? Why does the oh yeah. So we come back to this diagram. That's what I wanted to do. So the vaccine will attack, all of the SARS-CoV-2 viruses in here. Yes, I know, Quitch, you love sugar. Even at the rate that you eat sugar, though, Quitch, it is by far not as much as as how much people in North America eat, right? Because in North America, it is quite common to have a sugary, sweet piece of dough, and that is literally all carbohydrates, right? Like at the end of the day, sugar and dough are the same thing. Oh, actually, we should talk about this real quick. Sugar and dough to your body are exactly the same thing. White flour and sugar all reduced down to glucose, which is what your body uses, and which is why our bodies desire glucose, right? Because it is it is the most important and the easiest source of energy. It's also important because the brain can only run on glucose. It can also run on lactose, but that's not lactose. It can run on one other thing, but that's not efficient, and it means the brain is essentially eating itself. So no, glucose is important to the body, but in our modern world, we get so much of it that's why people are fat and obese. It's not because they eat a lot of oils. Of course, grease doesn't help, but I would it's only because they eat too much sugar and too much flour that they are fat. Just that's all there is to it. That's exactly, actually, coincidentally, that's exactly why a lot of monks, Buddhist monks, if you, like one of the most iconic images in Chinese culture is of fat Buddhist monks, right? And that is also, which you can't actually use the other way to feed the brain, because it doesn't work like that. You have to eat enough sugar, or you have to eat enough flour to have the glucose. Otherwise, the body will consume itself. Yeah, Buddhist monks in image in China, they don't generally eat like meat, right? So they have to get their protein from beans and tofu and all of that wonderful stuff. But at the same time, they also eat a lot of flour, because that comes from wheat, right? They eat a lot of rice, they eat a lot of fruits, and so because they eat all of that, they are fat as hell. And that's just that's just how it is. Right, before we end, let me just quickly talk about this. So the vaccine is less efficient against Omicron because the vaccines have been because Omicron infects a different part of us, right? So Omicron infects a different part of the body. Therefore, vaccines specialized to lung-based SARS-CoV-2 have trouble finding it. That's not to say that the booster shots don't work. The booster shots definitely work, and also, which that's not it, because if you stop eating, you're going to die of hunger before the brain will eat itself. No, it's very, very specific circumstances that we're not going to go into, because it's simply impossible for you in sort of the modern day life to accomplish that. Yeah, so that's why the vaccines work a little bit less well against Omicron, simply because it is it's harder to get there, right? There's less attack surface area, perhaps, or perhaps the way that the spike protein on top of should I use the word spike protein? Spike protein. We all have heard these terms before. If you read the news, everyone will talk about it as if they know what they're talking about. Honestly, they don't. Doesn't matter. The point is, the spike protein is probably changed. That's why Omicron affects the trachea, the upper respiratory tract, more than it does the lungs. And so if we have vaccines that generate these antibodies that are very, very finely targeted towards the spike protein that is meant to infect the lungs, then that means it's going to be by definition less effective, right? That doesn't mean it's not effective. That means boosters, that's why we see a lot of these breakthrough infections in the fully vaccinated, and that's why everyone should get their booster shot. So get your goddamn booster shot. Anyway, we are done for today. Yes, I do. I realized the half hour is up. I really do need to go. So before I go, do we have any final questions, concerns, desires? Oh, I'm not going. No, not that. A question. No, I'm not going to. No. Okay. Remember, I don't talk. Nothing I say is investment advice for good reason, right? So no, we're not going to talk about the economics of it. I will complain about the fact that people are buying in, but I don't think it's like it's not surprising that they do, right? Like we've talked about it before, and my booster shot is next week actually. Unfortunately, everything was just booked. But yeah, like it is what it is, right? So yeah, any further questions? No, so the question was, will we get a fourth booster? There are chances of it. But I think if we do get a fourth shot, it won't be the same shot, right? So right now, the booster shots we're getting are still the same as the original vaccine. So we still get the original Pfizer, the original Moderna. I'm actually not sure. In the US, we still don't have AstraZeneca. I know that. I don't know if we get a Johnson & Johnson booster. I don't. Yeah, that one I have no idea. But if we do end up having a fourth shot, it might simply be, it'll almost definitely be something new, because there's no reason why we wouldn't add in our knowledge of Omicron into a new shot, right? Like we don't have to continuously, like the production lines are already up. So especially for the mRNA, actually, interestingly enough, those shots, you just resequence, and you can produce that in mass, like fairly easily, right? It's more the unfortunately, it's more the Sinovac and all of the other inactivated virus vaccines that I feel more sorry for, simply because they're dependent on knowing what the strain is and being able to capture the strain and then to grow it, and that's a bit of a faff. Anyway, yes, we are done for today. I'm not going to answer. Can I answer one more? Yeah, I can answer one more question. We've talked about, yeah, I've answered this question yesterday. The short answer is, or there is no short answer to this. If you want to have your Christmas celebrations, I don't think whatever I say will stop you. I don't want to recommend, and so I would feel bad if I were to recommend that you go ahead with your celebrations, simply because of how prevalent the spread is, right? Like, actually, funnily enough, oh my god, I completely forgot about this, but the Canadian province of Quebec had just had, what was it, like 40% day-to-day increase in cases from Omicron, right? Like over a day it jumped 40%. That's ridiculous. So if you do want to, I said this yesterday, and I'm going to plead with this today as well. If you do want to have your holiday celebrations, get some rapid antigen tests, and and just test yourself before you go. Test yourself a day or two after you've gone, and just be informed, right? Like, be informed about your own condition and be informed about everyone else who's been there, their condition, so that you can more quickly make more better informed decisions. I hope none of you die over this. Because guys, remember, our you guys are old, man. Like, so, and age and sedentary lifestyle is, and of course obesity. But actually, do we have? Oh, I know some of you that are, well, getting a little bit porky. So yeah, like body weight, all of that is important when we're talking about COVID-19. So that's why you have to be very careful. If you're not careful, it's dangerous, right? Okay, excellent. Are we good for today? Yes, we're done for today. Yeah, with that having said, please be careful over the Christmas holidays. I know some of you are going to be here, some of you are not. I mean, I'm not rude. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Quitch. Having said all that, thank you again very much for watching. It's the same as usual down on Firefox. And I shall see all of you for our short Christmas celebrations tomorrow. Well, some of you. And to the rest of you who are leaving for the holidays, have a happy Christmas, Merry New Year, and I'll see you in the New Year. Bye now.